And in NFL clock time, Monday, Central Time, the countdown to 11 a.m., 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Happy New Year! It is the opening of the legal tampering portion of NFL free agency, with signings allowed to go official on Wednesday. And as part of that package, we present to you now that today's the day, and right now is the time, 11 o'clock Central. And so it's a perfect time for our Cowboys free agency NFL primer. Signings and trades and moves and goodbyes. Let me walk you through all of the stuff, item by item by item, that is about to unfold here. And then remember, at cowboyssi.com and here, we'll keep you abreast of everything as it happens too. I'm Mike Fisher, your trusty and trusted reporter. We do this from Frisco. This is the Fishbowl. That is the Star. We will be hanging out there and sniffing around across the street all morning long. So, important offseason for the Dallas Cowboys, as always. But it's also, at this moment, a quiet free agency period, a quiet transactional period for the Cowboys, with a couple of exceptions that were either expected or aren't directly roster related. They're staff related or they're money related. Let's walk through some of these. First of all, the behind the curtain move. Kellen Moore out, Brian Schottenheimer in, but really this is Mike McCarthy's baby. He's his own play caller. It's his West Coast offense. Great. I'm all for it. And that's not a Kellen Moore bash. I'm all for the best play caller in the building calling plays. I'm all for Mike McCarthy putting in an offense that he believes is best for Dak and himself. Now, go make the football team better. Item, the first new money decision. We reported weeks ago that Tony Pollard would be number one on Dallas's priority wish list, and indeed, he's got the tag, $10 million for 1 year. When, if, will Dallas do a new long-term deal for Tony Pollard? Spot Track says his value should be 3 years, $27 million. As we write this, there's no movement in that direction. Speaking of no movement, CowboysSI.com and the Fish Report broke the story on the eve of the start of legal tampering that Dallas hasn't actually made a contract offer to, drumroll please, anybody. What about sign our own? Sure. But as we ramp up to this 11 o'clocker, as of Sunday night, technically, as of Monday morning at 7:20, technically, zero proactivity. Zero. Cowboys have their priorities. All that can still come true. Remember, Dalton Schultz wasn't on our 5-man priority list. He had an asterisk. Pollard, Van Der Esch, Wilson, offers? Nope. Zero, nada, according to my source. Again, not counting Pollard here, and not counting the earlier signing of Tristan Vizcaino, the kicker. As we entered Monday, the Cowboys had not made an offer to anybody. So, who are the somebodies? Cowboys, unrestricted free agents. And it's a long list. It's not unusually long. There's certainly some guys in here that you look through and go, all right, well, we can get to him. Well, we can get to him later. But some of these guys, if you want him, you might want to get on the phone with him. Schultz, Van Der Esch, Wilson, cornerback Anthony Brown, friend of the show, who is a gutsy glory guy who's now got the rehab, and that's going to get in the way of this. Dante Fowler came here and helped. Dan Quinn guy, maybe revitalized his career. T.Y. Hilton came here and helped, not going to prioritize him. When we talked this morning about, well, you don't need this guy, you can just find this guy. Because somebody's out there, one of the sites out there saying T.Y. Hilton, somebody's going to pay him $13 million. For 1 year? No. But okay. Yeah, I can go find T.Y. Hilton for $2 million. That I can do. But are you going to replace all these guys for $2 million guys? Anthony Barr, Jason Peters, C.J. Goodwin, Jonathan Hankins, Noah Brown, Luke Gifford, Carlos Watkins, Cooper Rush, Brett Maher. Connor McGovern, Aviante Collins, Jake McQuaid, Matt Overton. You say you want to sign your own. We shall see. Terrence Steele, by the way, the starting right tackle, who's also rehabbing, Cowboys feel good about him being ready for camp, is restricted and contractually, and so he's been tendered, and I think that's $4 million a year. So they have contractual control with Terrence Steele, so we don't have to put him on that list. Thank goodness. Dak and Zach, and how's the cap space? These switch flips on the contracts for Dak Prescott and Zach Martin pushed Dallas under the cap. League-wide number of 224.8 million. Cowboys 15 million under as we begin the day. So let's go shopping. Not exactly. It's not really how this is likely to work. We got 15 million on the cap. Let's go buy a 15. Probably not the way this is going to work. But more room can be created. And a new money extension for Dak might be on the horizon as well. That can provide more space, but it will also be one that locks Dak even more deeply into being this team's franchise quarterback for a long, long time. From Stephen Jones, quote, "My bet is there's not going to be a lot said about it. We'll wake up one day and it'll be done." Doable? Sure. Additionally, at the start of this offseason, we lined up some other cap juggling things that the Cowboys can do. And in total, they can carve out $15 million worth of room if they want to. So more money is likely to be moved. In fact, if I'm a Cowboy fan, I hope more money is moved, because that's how more moves can be made to help the team be better. Item, what about that big move that I keep making fun of? Well, that's now... what's that? 10 days ago now? The Cowboys are working on a big move. No, they weren't. Not any more than just the normal moves. However big you want to look at them. An awareness of Odell Beckham Jr. Sure. An awareness, but that's not a big move that's any different than any other year, any other team, or any other week. That is turning out to be more rumor than report. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings here, but it sure got handled like a report. And I think it probably got mishandled. I hope, for Cowboy Nation's sake, I hope I'm wrong. And I hope the next thing I know, I get a text saying the Cowboys have been working on a trade for DeAndre Hopkins for 2 weeks, and they just pulled it off. Believe me, I will celebrate if I can confirm that the Cowboys really were working on DeAndre Hopkins at the scouting combine, and that's where big move came from. Believe me, I will celebrate, and I might even crack an egg on my forehead, as I like to do around here once a year. Delicious. DeAndre trade, Beckham signing, all that stuff, and all the stuff at levels below it, we will continue, headline grabber or not, you know how we do it. Blade of grass moves over at the Star, we report on it. It's a 33-year policy in our coverage of the Cowboys, and it's worked well for us. From Jerry Jones, Mr. Media, don't dismiss us doing something special with the right veteran free agent or trade. Okay, how about this, Jerry? I will not dismiss it, but I will also not hold my breath. Is that fair? I believe it is. What about Zeke and Tyron? Dallas did that Zeke monster deal, and now it's time to escape it as a money saver, as he cost $16.7 million against the cap. The Cowboys will not move forward with that contract for that player. Maybe they rip the Band-Aid off, but they off the player being on the roster, but they certainly ripped the Band-Aid off in terms of that contract. That's over. Meanwhile, Cowboys will also continue working with Tyron Smith. Now that one, we could wake up one morning and happen. A desire to keep him without spending $13 million in salary and without having $17 million on the cap to do it. With Zeke, we know that he's now the backup running back, if that. With Tyron, different issue. What's his position? What's his role? If I'm Tyron Smith and you tell me, well, your role, Mr. Tyron, you're one of the best left tackles of your era, and that's where you're going to play. in 2023. Then if I'm Tyron, I'm going, so I'm the starting left tackle? Then aren't I worth $13 million? How much of a salary shaving should he agree to if they're going to ask him to keep being Tyron Smith? Item, recruiting coordinators. Micah Parsons fancies himself as a recruiter. Mike McCarthy, actually, Micah has Twitter. Mike McCarthy actually has connections. Dan Quinn actually has connections. The Cowboys have brought defensive players here because of Dan Quinn. That's a fact. They have connections all over the league. Can they bring more of their guys here? And where will their guys not only fit into the Cowboys system, obviously, but also fit into the Cowboys pie, salary cap pie? It'd be nice if connections is all that it took. But as we get ready to monitor, report on, and bring to you the news of today and the coming days in terms of NFL free agency, Cowboys, and more, I would suggest to you, ladies and gentlemen of the Fish Report jury, that Dallas's success in talent acquisition is going to be based on two things that are more traditional than Twitter recruiting. In terms of what players ask themselves and what players ask of their potential employer. One, can the Cowboys, who made strides last season, beat Tom Brady, won on the road in the playoffs, won on grass, made it to the divisional round of the playoffs, won first time since 1990. Can they win big in 2023? Question number two. Mr. Jones, Mr. McClay, and Big Mike Coach, what are you going to pay me? Cowboys free agency primer. We'll keep you posted here and at cowboyssi.com. Hey, spread the word about what we do here. Straight dope, no bullsh, fact-based opinions, and we collect our facts from inside that building and then bring them to you here and at cowboyssi.com. Fish out.